Okay, so now that we have completed the installation and configuration of major tools, our next section would cover the development aspect of the DevOps model. So the first thing that we are going to do in this section is set up SSH for GitHub. We're going to create a GitHub repository. We're going to create a Spring Boot project. We're going to configure the Spring Boot project for source code management and Artifactory. We're going to commit the changes to the feature branch and push to GitHub, and we're going to create a pull request to the develop branch and merge. So let's get started with setting up the SSH for GitHub. So I have provided the link to the documentation provided by GitHub to set it up. And let's just follow the instructions and we can get the SSH set up for GitHub. So I'm going to go to the GitHub help and it talks about creating the SSH. So we're just going to copy the instructions from here. I'm going to open up a new terminal window and copy the command which I did earlier. So I have the SSH keygen. You don't need to get into the details of what this is doing, but it's basically setting up mode of communication between your computer and GitHub in a secure way. So it's going to generate a private and a public key that's going to use to be communicating to GitHub. So I have my email address, which is the email address that you need to plug in. Once that's generated, go ahead and hit enter. You do not need to create a passphrase for now. Go ahead and hit enter, and your public key and the private key is actually generated. So once that's generated, you need to start an agent that will actually register this particular key. So I'm just going to follow the instructions. I'm not going to get into the details of what all these steps are. And you have enough information on the GitHub that talks more about what each one of the steps means. So we're going to add the key to the private repository, and once that's generated, we need to copy the SSH credentials, which basically this command copies it to a clipboard, and then I can go into my GitHub account, go into my profile, go into my settings, go to SSH keys, do a new SSH key, copy from my clipboard, and I can say GitHub, or I can just give it a name of the user for which the key was generated. So which is, in this case, it's the dev user. So I'm going to add the SSH key. And now you're basically set up with adding your SSH key to GitHub account.